What's up, guys? I'm hanging out with our creative director, Kevin Weiers. Weiers. So we
He
got to
went
tell
there.
this story to folks.
He went there right away.
I'm sorry, I did.
It's okay.
So I mispronounced your last name, and you didn't correct me for the longest time until you did, and then I felt terrible. So it's Weiers.
Yeah, it is Weiers, and I apologize, and I did profusely apologize, but I wanted to be comfortable and know that we had a healthy a good working relationship
Right.
before I could correct the boss. You don't just correct the boss. You give it some line, a little rope, and then when you're good, you're like, "Hey, by the way."
Right. Right. Well, thank you. I appreciate the correction. I received that.
Okay.
And
It's all good.
all right. So I want to know a couple of things. One, I want to know your call into ministry. Give me some of your ministry background, some of the churches and ministries that you've served.
Sure. So call into ministry. Let's see. Well, as a kid growing up, I loved creating things. Activity books on road trips, paint by number, connect the dots. And I always wondered, like, okay, how is this going to turn into anything that God could use? So I loved design. I loved the creative process, and interviewed at agencies, but I always wondered, how's this going to work out, because marketing can be a little sketch at times. But wanted to serve God and wanted to use the stuff on the inside of my heart to serve God. So it just happened that I got to interview at a church and work in their graphics department and do some design. That church was a pretty big church in Minneapolis, and headed up their design team. And that design team then grew into the video team and the social media team, then the web team, and kind of all the points and pixels that you would see as you're walking into a church like that. I got to be a part of. So it was really cool to watch kind of God line up what was in my heart to do and just put me in the perfect spot for what he could use me to do, right? To reach people with bulletins or really cool Easter campaigns.
Yeah. Have you been in that same church the whole time?
Yeah, I've been at that church now over 2 decades, and the role has changed, but I get opportunities to work with a myriad of different departments and different things that come and go in the church season.
Yeah.
And then meet and greet awesome people like you and the church visuals team and other ministries as well. Born from that passion with some freelance work, so I get to work with clients there too. So that God can use a graphic designer from Minnesota, he can use anybody.
Yeah. So we're hanging out at the Kids Matter conference, which is where we met, maybe 3 years ago?
Yeah, dude.
Something like that. And we'll tell this story real quick. So I was walking kind of down through the expo hall, and you have a booth. You and your wife do a curriculum.
Yes, sir.
And so you had a booth there. One thing I really noticed is that your graphics on your banner really stood out.
Thank you.
And I see a lot of exhibitors and a lot of folks, and so your creative content really stood out. And so we got to talking, and you want to tell any part of that story?
Well, no, it was just funny because you had walked past the booth, but kind of looked back over your shoulder. So here I watch, you had your backpack on, and then turn and look back. I'm like, who is this person? And Carl says to me, "So what are you guys?" And I was like, we're a curriculum." He's like, "Oh, you're more than just games." Like, yeah, we do, different lessons and things like that. And we struck up a conversation, and then we followed up later with like a Zoom call, and wanted to find a way to work together. And look at that, eventually we did.
Yeah, and it's been great, man. So you're still on staff at your church.
Yes, sir.
And you do the I Teach church curriculum, and then work with us part-time as our creative director.
Yes, sir.
So walk me through, you serve mainly the custom space, and then kind of moving into our ready-made space as well. But tell me, in the custom space, just some areas that you've gotten to serve.
Okay.
And just kind of some things that you do for us.
Oh man, on the custom side, it's really cool to see the gamut of projects that come in. Anything from a lyric video for worship, whether it's going to be Seeds or Yancey or things like that. I really enjoy coming up with the series designs that we do for the multitude of churches that we get to serve, from the awesome designs that our designers come up with, and then taking them into kind of some motion and some movement with our video team, adding some tracks to it. There's really nothing quite like being able to take the vision that's in some of these pastors and in some of these churches and give it life, not just with a nice 16 by 9 title slide, but when you add just a little bit of scripting, you can really make that series come to life.
Yeah.
And anytime you can support the vision of the local church and make a pastor feel really good about the message that he's getting from God
Yeah.
and to take to the congregation, man, I dig that.
So you play such a crucial role in our ministry because you are taking, so we might get a project from a church and you are taking maybe their bare bones of here's my write up.
Yeah,
I might have a paragraph or I might have even just a line or just an idea. There's some churches and people that we work with that might have fleshed it out more,
yeah,
but you're mainly kind of in charge of bringing that whole thing to life
yeah,
from just a line or a paragraph to the design and the video,
yeah.
and then back through. So if that comes from the designer and the video person, you review and approve that to make sure that we're delivering what the client wants.
Yes,
So
sir.
kind of walk that out a little bit, and maybe what are some of the struggles and maybe some of the the joy points of
Oh,
the
yeah.
process.
Well, and it's more than just the series too. Like we serve curriculum providers,
Yeah.
and some of them will give us a very loose outline, and some of them give us some pretty specific things. So, we get whatever content we can from the church we're working with or the curriculum provider we're working with, the client, um, and work it through with Steve as he works with the client to get as much of the highlights that we can. And I take some time and go into those notes and see if I can get the heart behind what they're trying to communicate and find some good options for our design team to kick back. We don't just want to give you one, we'll give you two, sometimes three, because our designers are that awesome. We'll give them a wild card to take a look at. And once we get that design approved and the client's good with that still design, then if we're also making the trailer, the bumper, we'll bring that over into the video team. We'll write a script for it sometimes. Sometimes the script's provided. Find some nice music to go with it, some visuals that we'll find to put that together, send it back to the client. And that works with the curriculums too, because we'll get sometimes a description for what those lessons are going to be. And it could be the 3, 4, 5 week outline. Sometimes they'll ask us for titles, examples. Sometimes they're coming up with the games. And that's a real fun part of what we do too. So
Right.
that process is kind of what we go through when we're returning those visuals back to the client.
So give me your why. Why is it a joy to serve them, especially when you're seeing the end result? When you see that come to life and then maybe on a social media or a feedback from them,
Sure.
man, we saw this impact.
Well, it's funny because we're at Kids Matter, right? And we got to work with Grant, one of our producers, to put that lead-in video that they're going to play at the conference tomorrow night or tomorrow morning. And I played that thing like 4 or 5 times because the effect that it had on me just in ministry, knowing the narrative that they were telling and the reaction that I had, it gave me goosebumps at times. And there's some stuff that we put together for different churches in their trailers, and you watch it and you see it, and it just connects with you, and it makes you relate to the message before I even hear the message,
Yeah.
and it begins to open people's hearts to like, oh, they get what I'm going through, or I can connect with this certain messaging that's happening in the video or in the design. So it's kind of the first thing. People say that the new front door of the church is either social media or website. Well, what is that? You're visually connecting with people.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's what we do with the videos and the stuff that we design. We are the front door, the first pixels being seen by the people, and we want to make sure that we're not closing any doors. We want them open.
So one thing I love at a conference like this is to walk through the expo hall and see the different booths and notice their visuals, a lot of which we've done.
Yeah,
So to see different people that we've worked with and a visual that we worked so hard to create
yeah,
is a sample on their banner
for sure.
or something like that. And or you see a video that we've done on their TV playing in their booth. And that's really cool to see such a variety of stuff walking. And, it's just amazing how God can use our creativity
Yeah.
and see that come to life and that it impacts so many. So, all right, let's land here. Why do visuals matter, both to curriculum providers, pastors, ministry leaders? Why do your visuals matter?
Well, yeah, like I was saying, it's the first thing that people are going to see with their senses, and we want to make sure that we're connecting in that way. Visuals can be an instant turnoff, or they can be an instant attraction. And what we do when it comes to ministry is we want to make sure that the messaging behind whether it's a curriculum or a series for a church, we want to make it as relatable and appealing as possible. So we're keeping that door open to Jesus.
Yeah. Been so grateful for you and all that you do for our team and for ministry leaders and with your curriculum too. You want to tell people about your curriculum real quick?
Sure. Where I teach church, we do creative kids ministry lessons for like age 3 to grade 5. Interactive presentations keeps the kids engaged, and we love making Jesus fun and easy for volunteers.
Yeah. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you, sir.
This has been a podcast presentation of Church Visuals, executive produced by Carl Barnhill, edited by Mario Franco, title and show graphics by Angie Lomas. For more resources to help you visually communicate the gospel, visit churchvisuals.com.